with Empire Grappling. Introducing first in the blue corner, representing 10th Planet Birmingham and Empire Martial Arts with a perfect record of 4 wins against no defeats. Welcome, Steve Angry Andrews! And his opponent in the red corner, representing Manchester top team with a record of 6 victories against a single defeat. Make some noise for Lewis McGrillen! And your referee in charge, Nick Clements.
Steve Andrews versus Lewis McGrillen for the UKFC Flyweight amateur title. Steve Andrews fighting out of the blue corner. He's in the black trimmed with red RDX shorts as he takes on Manchester top team's Lewis McGrillen fighting out of the red corner. He's in the camo veteran shorts, touch gloves, and Brian, I'm looking forward to this one.
Really am. Steve Andrews been one of those competitors, not very active, fights basically once a year, but when he does, he has been unstoppable so far. But Lewis McGrillen, I've seen this young man train. He has got such an engine on him, such a heart on him when you match that with the skill set. And this is a very dangerous young man.
Straight away you can see that 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu being employed.
Yeah, that dexterity in there. And I did speak to Lewis McGrillen. He thought this is the area that where he really feels that Andrews has the best chance, but compared to his skill set, he feels he has no chance. But you don't want to underestimate somebody with this sort of jiu-jitsu. He's a multiple-time Naga champion, and it's not a knockout punch, but it's similar. If you can throw up submissions from any angle and find a way to get a finish from off your back, then that's as good as a knockout in my eyes.
Absolutely, you play to your strengths. McGrillen at the moment working inside the open guard. One butterfly almost on the hip there from angry Steve Andrews.
And McGrillen, this heavy top pressure. And he's earned titles already in other promotions. He's claimed accolades. Carl Prince in particular talks very highly of this young man. And I got to see the work ethic of him when he was preparing for his last fight. I believe that was against you and Jack Lister back in July. And they just gave him body after fresh body attacking him. And the heart of this young man on those mats, there was no quit until the final bell. But this is what it's all about, this top pressure, this control.
It's fun because we were talking, there's a lot of talk about the last fight where the man on top just kind of laid there and the gentleman on bottom was working to look to submit, to look. It's almost to say it looks like Lewis is doing a lot more defending than attacking from this position, but what will the judges see?
Well, he's got a lot of control from this position, but you can see, we talked about that dexterity coming from Andrews. He's using that lockdown, which is to control. He can set up submissions from there, obviously, but McGrillen also is going to be aware this is 5 rounds, 3 minutes, so if he can just keep wearing on, even if he stays in this position, he's not taking damage. He's just got to keep switched on just in case those submissions do come up.
McGrillen got Andrews pushed up against the wall of the cage there. And I like the fact that he's taking his time. If he rushes, you just feel that Andrews will throw that snap submission up.
Well, he'll try, and also Andrews is it's deceptive. He's got that 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu background coming from that Empire Martial Arts as well, but started in karate, started as a stand-up striker. So don't just think he's a one-trick pony. He is very well-rounded. He's just obviously got a very strong skill set in one direction, but he's now felt that top pressure from Lewis McGrillen, and McGrillen, a good takedown, easily got it there. So whoever can make that opening, Steve.
Well, and now 3 minutes under their belt. Both have had a chance to feel out the other fighter. Are you expecting the same sort of thing, that Steve's going to look to try and take this to the ground, probably in top position as opposed to on bottom?
I think more to the point, we're going to see Lewis take this to the ground, because that was his game plan from the start. What he then showed you is that he's not scared to mix it up with somebody who's got good jiu-jitsu accolades. What will be interesting to see is what Steve's response is from that. Will he look to keep it standing, or will, as you said, he'll look to get it down and maybe get top position and see how he can work from there? But McGrillen has set his stall out early. He's shown he's not scared of the grappling of Steve Andrews. And 1 round in the bank, 4 more potentially to go, Steve.
You'd be thinking that McGrillen, you thinking that McGrillen would certainly need to be a little more active in top position?
I mean, you got to take into account this could be 5 rounds as well, so control is a big thing. Well, the towel just came in, but not for the reason that you'd not want it to be. It's more for, there's a little bit of water just left on the canvas there. But it's going to be interesting. I can see this being a long battle between these two, and it can be one moment that could win it for them and claim that flyweight title. Oh!
He wasn't waiting for the round.
That I know we've just had firework night, but that left hand had a rocket attached to it.
Now on the back.
And taking the back, look at that,
Hooks
set the
in.
hooks. And there's a little cut just above the temple there of Steve Andrews. Nothing to bother about yet, but I think that was just from that left hand that came in early from Lewis McGrillen.
He threw that hard and fast. And now working on the back, hooks in.
And a very composed there. Well, this will be interesting. That Suliev, he might be going for that Suliev stretch, the one we've seen Zabit Magomedov. Oh!
In on the body again. And
that was a big shot. That got a little deep breath there from Steve Andrews. McGrillen is putting it on him, Steve.
Yeah, nice sprawl out there. Like I said, used the first round, felt his man out a little bit, and now has decided, I think I'm just going to hit you a lot.
Well, that first round is they both connect there.
And
again, this is really starting to heat up, Steve.
And the more it heats up and turns into a firework competition, you got to give that to McGrillen.
So far, the eye-catching stuff, the more damaging. But here we have the Kimura attempt. Steve Andrews trying to turn that. He's got that grip. He's trying to.
He's got it.
No, they straightened his arm out. Lewis McGrillen doing the right stuff. And look how composed that young man is. And you get a clap in the corner there from Carl Prince and Kane Musa. Great second round though, Steve. We talked about that sort of lay and pray, that control from McGrillen, but he really has turned it up a notch. But equally so, look at the tools in the toolbox coming from Steve Andrews.
Yeah, not out of it by any stretch. Oh, constantly bringing up that rubber guard.
You've got to say, what would Steve Andrews be like if he was more active? He first competed in 2012, Steve, then one fight in 2013, one fight in 2014, then 2017. This is his first step back in the cage.
Well, and you would think that, the more cage time he can get, the more often he can compete.
There is something that you cannot deny, is that the more active you are, the more switched on. So many fighters talk about that. They say there's no such thing as cage rust, but being used to making that walk, controlling those nerves, being switched on it in the heat of a real firefight, there's a lot to be said for that. But I do like Steve Andrews' style, but Lewis McGrillen, his pressure is unreal.
Yeah, the entire round has been about McGrillen setting the pace, setting where it takes place.
But changing it up as well, that first left hand that he threw in, Steve, that was not what any of us were expecting. Maybe a bit more cage control, top control, but some really good exchanges between the two on the feet and on the ground. What a fight.
Yeah, certainly though it seems like Lewis McGrillen is growing into it, that second round was certainly all him.
For me, that, and again, you've got to be aware of the tricks from Steve Andrews off his back. That Kimura was almost in. His rubber guard again, so good from there when he's on his back. But McGrillen really did change the pace in that a little, and the intensity in what he was bringing forward. And he said to me before, he wants to try and make Steve uncomfortable, and that's a good adjective, because he's now testing him on the feet and on the ground, so he's making him guess, and he's keeping that pressure up in both areas.
McGrillen, also a proven finisher. I want to say 5 of his 6 are stoppage of some way or other. So.
I think that's 5 of his 6 wins are stoppage. 3 submissions, 2 knockouts. Just off the top of my head.
That's sweet, so he can do a little bit of everything. Again, and I think you and I have both watched this young man from his debut.
Oh, we've seen him grow. We've seen nice combination there up against the cage.
sorry, Brian, haven't watched the first 2 rounds. I know that he's been in control when he's had top position. He's been fairly comfortable. But on the stand-up, this is when Lewis really seems to be just a little step ahead.
Well, and this is the part of his game that is evolving, and Carl Prince in the corner there, one of the best striking minds in the game for my money. And he really has taken Lewis under the wing. Even took him to Las Vegas when he made a trip out there. Lewis was training alongside the likes of Frank Mir out at Syndicate MMA, getting rounds in there with top-level fighters and loving every single moment. A constant student, but like you just pointed out there, that the bit of his game that's really grown for me is that striking.
Yeah, he throws with power and intention. The only points in this fight where McGrillen has had to even think defensive is in this position on the ground.
Yeah, when he's closed that distance for Andrews to use that jiu-jitsu. And Andrews, he has a great jiu-jitsu game. You look at his profile picture, I think he's got 5 Naga belts on him, hanging off him from every single limb, and that just shows the quality. And his coach there, Mick Broster, he says he's his biggest influence, has guided him through his martial arts career.
Smart by Lewis, getting caught again in that kind of rubber guard. So bullies his man up against the cage, stuffs his head up.
It's really savvy for high fight IQ fighting. He's making it more awkward for submission attempts for Andrews. He's keeping that top position, he's staying safe, and he's letting the clock go down. And these are the points in mixed martial arts, especially when you get to this level where you're fighting for titles. It's where you can take a break without letting your opponent have a break. So right now McGrillen piling the pressure, still making Andrews work, but he's obviously in a position of control where he can still take in some oxygen and take a little breather after that explosive start to this round.
Again, Steve Andrews trying to, the one gets that posture, and those hammer fists are landing. Referee was starting to look a little more closely there.
Andrews did the right thing there, just made a little bit of space using his hips. That grip around the waist of McGrillen, avoided too much damage, but again, it's the pressure of McGrillen. I've seen it before, and I've watched it in the gym when he is training with the likes of Jack Salt, Lerone Murphy, Kane Musa, to name but a few. He really is a pressure fighter.
10 seconds to go. No, Steve. Angry Andrews hangs on. Going to see this round out.
Great stuff there. And what that does as well, just that little burst of energy. Again, fight IQ. Some big hammer fist, catch the judge's eyes, really seal that round. And we're going to go into the championship rounds here, Steve.
Now rounds 4 and 5 to come in this amateur flyweight title bout. Steve Angry Andrews, blue corner, representing 10th Planet, Birmingham, and Empire Martial Arts, facing Manchester top teams, Lewis McGrillen. We've had 3 exciting rounds.
And look at the difference in the cornering there. You can see now, Mick Broster, look at the focus. He really knows this fighter there, he really knows. He's just trying to get him to engage. He's giving him technical advice to try and help turn this around. They know what's going on, they know where they're at, they know the game plan. But on the flip side, you see Lewis McGrillen, his arms on the shoulder there of Maga Carl Prince, shaking out the arms with him. He looks tired, but I tell you what, I saw that in one of his sparring rounds. I thought he's exhausted, he's not got another round. 10 rounds later, he's still going. So whatever he's eating, however many Weetabix that young man is smashing in the morning, something's working.
And now they both decide to start quick. Steve Andrews meets him in the middle.
And that's a great tactic, Steve. You can't just let Lewis keep coming on because the momentum's with it. Oh, that uppercut caught Steve. That really hurt him.
Yeah, and got to see now if he's going to just look to pound this one out.
Oh, if he gets to finish, if he gets to submit Steve Andrews, that'll be a huge scalp. But the uppercut really hurt Steve. I don't know if Lewis quite knows how much.
Andrews, so again, battling hard, got up against the cage, but this is where...
Body shot, now the striking of Lewis McGrillen. He's picking this up against the cage,
yeah.
Steve. Wow, he really is piling the pressure. Steve Andrews is struggling to come up with an answer.
And he goes to the body and then to the head, and now in on the takedown. He's not giving Andrews any chance to adjust or think. In on the single now.
And that's it. I don't know the corner. I think they want him to separate. I think they know how badly hurt Steve Andrews is. But Lewis McGrillen taking this pressure up against the cage.
Yeah, through a lot of looking to try and get those fingertips together and look for the takedown. Got to be careful of the Kimura. She just started out.
Andrews now trying to make that work. McGrillen trying to step over that right knee of Andrews to stop him getting any purchase. Again, using the cage so well, and this is another thing we talk about, that cage control, understanding how it can benefit you in certain situations or how it can be detrimental as well. Really is controlling well from this top position.
He's got to be patient here.
But how tough is Steve Andrews? He took some huge shots, starting with that uppercut, a barrage of body shots and head shots across the cage, and then now fighting for that Kimura grip.
Going still on top, half guard. Trying to get a butterfly on the hip. He's doing that.
But we're seeing a consistent pattern in each round, Steve. What is happening is Lewis McGrillen is coming out, and they both met each other in the middle there. I will say that Steve Andrews tried to switch the momentum a little bit there, but McGrillen burns a lot of energy, throws big shots, hurts Steve Andrews, and then now gets him controlled against the cage towards the end of the round. I've never seen a Superman takedown before, but that was one attempt.
Again, got to be careful with that arm.
Yeah, and look at this. Now he's forcing it over. McGrillen doing exactly the right thing there.
So composed.
And he's going to get his back taken though, Steve, here. And now he's got to watch that neck.
Great.
He really has. Look at Steve Andrews.
Beautiful bit of transitional work there.
10 seconds left. Steve Andrews trying to make something happen from the back. And that is, again, that shows what we're dealing with here. Steve Andrews, as soon as we thought he was in trouble, finds a way to take the back. And almost gets the rear naked choke. McGrillen did very well though, calm, composed.
Corner over there for Steve Andrews, complaining that they thought perhaps Lewis McGrillen was holding the gloves, hands in the gloves.
Well, they have to shake that off now, Steve. What they've got to take is the positive. Steve Andrews was able to turn it around at the end of that round, use that Kimura grip. That's been something he's gone to repeatedly, and there he took the back. Beautiful back take. Just ran out of time to work for that choke, but that's the shining light. That's what they need to work on, because thinking about the hands in the gloves and things like that, that's not the right way to do it.
It's going to keep Lewis McGrillen honest as well. I mean,
well, it should do. I mean, now we are in that fifth and final round. Both will be exhausted. This is where small mistakes can leave big openings. And McGrillen just being talked to by Mick Clements about those fingers in gloves. Round 5. This has gone so quickly, Steve. Oh, and now Steve Andrews shoots.
Good sprawl out by McGrillen, but he's up against the cage.
Oh, he's going to get taken
single.
Now. Oh, great.
Oh, he's got it.
He's right under it. Wow, there we go. This is interesting, Steve. We've got Andrews here now in top position for the first time in the fight. Like we said, McGrillen has fought hard for 4 rounds already. His gas tank, anyone who fights at that pace, surely has got to be debilitated a little bit now. Oh, Goga Platter attempt. Wow. McGrillen now look at that. From his knees, he shoots a double. That is top quality, world-class grappling there.
And again, Steve immediately goes to that rubber guard.
But right in front of his corner now, Lewis McGrillen.
Yeah. Not giving his man a lot of room to move.
Kane Musa there, as well as Maga. What a grappling mind he's got. He'll be talking Lewis through this.
Just happy to sit inside the closed guard at the moment. And again, goes to rubber guard.
It's a position he's able to get, and he is stifling some of the pressure, but McGrillen's not going to be worried about that until he tries to progress it. But look how much torque McGrillen's putting into pushing that chest, that head. But again, there's Steve Andrews, makes some space, looks for that Kimura grip.
Almost had the body triangle on him from the bottom for a moment. Brings the guard up high. once again. McGrillen staying smart to this, keeping good head position, landing a few little hammer fists whenever he can.
Well, this is right in this corner. You've got Magomed Shishabekov, who's part of that Manchester top team now, and he'll be guiding him through, and they'll be happy to let the clock go. They know the work that's gone on in those early rounds. And just this pushing, this pressure from McGrillen is stopping anything that Andrews is trying to make happen. You see Andrews trying to push on that hip, trying to make space.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's constant movement off his back. He doesn't allow Lewis any time to set.
Well, the thing that he might also be doing is if Lewis was just sat in that position and there was no activity coming from the bottom, they might have been stood up by now, but oh, as I say that, look, he's working for the armbar attempt.
Yeah, walked his way up the cage. Maybe too little, too late.
Lewis McGrillen now. Little smile talking to his opponent as the final seconds come in. What a title fight that was. How fun was that?
That was a great fight.
And there you go, there's some swagger from Lewis McGrillen.
Both fighters worked hard.
I'm a fan of Steve Andrews as well. I hope he starts competing more, because honestly, that would be great to see him back inside the cage. He might be frustrated with certain parts of that fight, but a really good showing against the top competitor. Obviously, it's in the hands of the judges, Steve, but we shall wait and see.
It's gone to the judges' scorecards. Your winner by unanimous decision and new flyweight champion, Lewis McGrillen! Lewis, come in, my man. Champ. What a performance. A 5-round back and forth. The wrestling was superb, but what is showing is your striking is evolving every single fight. How impressed were you with that performance, and what does it mean to you to now be the new UK Fighting Championship flyweight champion?
I feel like I'm going to put my hands a bit more. I was looking a bit too much, trying to knock him out. I know I can fucking take his skull, but I was just... What it was, it just didn't come out as much as I wanted to. I wanted to flow, time, and little bit, boom, and get in. But it is what it is. That's a wrestling. Even to the point, the guy's a rubber guard war, and I beat him in his guard.
And I believe this is the first person from Manchester top team to claim a title. Is that right? I mean, look at the team you've got around here. What a set of animals, what coaches you've got. Something special is happening in Manchester. Just sum up what it means to be part of this new team.
Everything. Honestly, if I didn't have him there, I'd be nothing. I know what they're, but these believe in me, push me to my limit, up the best out on them, and I can't thank them as much as the family to me. I love him for me.
Well, listen, you go enjoy that. You are the new. Go on, mate.
Francis Breen!